Welcome to the Chew Brewer Stew podcast. Every other Sunday, we'll release an episode of the podcast featuring an interview with a business owner in the food industry. From restaurants, to breweries, to bakeries, and everything in between. We ask them about their journey and the process of becoming a successful business owner in hopes of helping others to do the same. I'm Mike Curtin, and the podcast starts now. Welcome to the Chew Brewer Stew podcast. My name is Mike Curtin. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so you never miss another episode of the podcast. Don't forget to follow us on our social media accounts. All links to those and podcast platforms can be found on chewbrewerstew.com. Thank you for joining us for episode number 17 of Chew Brewer Stew. Today I sit down with Brian Rauso, owner of Green Cheek Beer Company in Orange County, California. Brian talks to us about how growing up with 9 siblings gave him the drive he uses today, and how someone else's misfortune can actually be your lucky day. So here it is, episode number 17. I hope you enjoy it. Hey guys, I'm Mike Curtin. This is Chew Brewer Stew, and today I'm with Brian Rauso from Green Cheek Beer Company. Brian Rauso and Evan Price work together at a Noble Ale Works in Anaheim, California. In July of 2016, Brian had resigned as CEO of Noble, decided to take a short break from it all. In January of 2017, Evan also stepped down as head brewer. The two would soon after team up to open their own brewery. After 4 years in the business, Valiant Brewing in Orange County decided to cease operations due to financial reasons, and that's when Evan and Brian stepped in to purchase the brewery. In the summer of 2017, they opened their doors as Green Cheek Beer Company, taking their name from the Green Cheek Parrots of Orange County. And Brian is here with me today. Brian, thank you very much for being here.
Thanks, Mike, for having me. I appreciate it.
So, in the midst of all the madness, lockdowns, quarantines, all that good stuff, how are you holding up right now?
It's a funny one.
Yeah.
Right? It's wild. I don't know. We're all sort of just figuring out new ways of doing these things. It's like having a new muscle group you have to flex. So we're getting by as best we can. We're probably better off than most. We've been lean and sort of made sure the business was sound before any of this happened. So it was kind of nice to be prepared as I could be, but who knew there would be a zombie apocalypse?
Right. So how harshly has it affected your business?
It's wild. Is that we're a small brewery. We just acquired our second location 3 months ago. We're more of a tasting room operation. We never went for the wholesale distribution side, so we were more for the tasting room, can sales, growler sales. So that crushed us in the beginning. It was one of those we had a vibrant can release crowd, so it was nice that people trade our beers. But we had to really think on our toes, and as they changed things day by day, we would just come up with a new, we're going to be doing drive-up service.
Right.
At first, it was actually social distancing. So, overall, we've adapted better than most and able to keep most of my staff. We're adjusting like everybody else.
Right. That's great. You're able to keep your staff on, man. That's tough nowadays, especially with all that's happening, and a lot of people are getting let go left and right. So
yeah, it's adjusting, and we like our Costa Mesa location had a kitchen restaurant, so we had to scale that down, but we were able to keep more than half of all of our employees and all of our brewing staff.
Right.
So.
And you just recently purchased that was the old Barley Forge. They went and claimed bankruptcy in Costa Mesa, and then you purchased that location from them. Before, obviously, that was back in December. I think you had decided to do this.
Yes.
Before all this actually exploded. What was the driving force behind you opening your second location?
Our business model is not really more beer, just better beer. So we're looking for locations that sort of fit us as our personalities. Our brewery is not about big money. It's my house is on the line with SBA. Me and Evan Price, my co-owner and brewer. We had to look at strategically finding spaces where we know that we had a following, and we wanted to get beer out in tasting rooms.
Right.
So it's about local communities and not, this crazy over the top kind of thing where you overextend yourself. And so we had a really good model back in December, like I said, before all this happened. But we needed a more footprint, and even now we're still looking beyond the COVID thing is where we need to go next. So,
right.
But yeah, it was about just being able to grow in a way that your community supports you.
And you talk about loans and financing, but how did you, when you first started Green Cheek, how did you go about finding the capital to start that?
That's a fun. I've started, over the last 25, 30 years, I've started 3 or 4 different businesses. So I've already had a mortgage company, a real estate company, a computer consulting firm.
Okay.
Smaller ones. So, but I've always been the business side of things. And when you go and you do this over some years, you see the angles. And this one was pretty easy. I basically put everything up myself and put my house on the line and said,
right.
Okay, that's why our first beer campaign was sink or swim.
Right.
Because we had one option. Me and Evan signed on everything and said, okay, guys, cause the other option is to go out and get everybody else's money. And, and that's what we didn't want to do. At Noble, we had 22 owners, and I didn't, both of us didn't want to have that same thing. We wanted to be able to control everything ourselves. So when you go out and, I was able to come up with a good business plan. Strength was in finding a place that was, wanted to get out after their 4 or 5 years.
Right.
And instead of building something, right, you buy something and you save, a year and a half to 2 years in production costs, and you get it on the discount. So that's what we were able to do, is come into a space that didn't make it in their own, and we were able to come in and sort of capitalize on this space and, like I said, bring, my capital, my background in my house, basically, and
right.
get an SBA loan and start that way.
Yeah, that kind of worked out perfectly. Everything was kind of set up, ready to go for you guys, because it didn't take long after you guys decided to do that. I don't know if there was talk before that or whatnot, but I mean, you pretty much jumped in and it was like, all right, ready to go. So to speak.
Yeah.
Which is
for sure. And it was, I think, you do that thing where opportunity knocks, and either you better jump at it or it goes by the wayside. And that's exactly what, Brian Schrofer, who was the owner at Valiant when we took it over, he'd been doing it for a couple of years. He was really good. He was passionate, but, after a couple of years, he was an engineer, aerospace engineer, and he's like, this was a good passion thing, but, I need to jump off and get back to back to where he was. And it worked, like I said, and I think that's what all of these, it's about looking at what the opportunities around you and pulling the trigger, or you're just not going to get that again. So that's why I said on my side, I sort of look at Evan when we make decisions and say, hey, dude, I think let's try this. I think this might be a good opportunity. So, yeah, do it while you can.
Right. So you said you were very business-oriented before opening all this and kind of had an idea. But was there something that when you got into owning your own brewery that you never thought you were going to have to deal with?
It's a lot different where, you can't fail. There are no options. There are no backstops. There are no, people look for the government to help them out and all these other different things. And
right.
The SBA was cool, but it's up to you. And, ownership is a funny thing. And, we have some great employees, but every time something comes up and I say, guys, this is our life. Just like, we want to take care of you. We also have to take care of, us, the family, Evan's kids, my god kids, you sort of look at it and say, yeah, you have one option, and that's to make it.
Are there any qualities that you would say make you a great owner?
Great's really relative. Good owner, I think on my side, I came from being poor. I ate government cheese. I'm one of 10. I'm the youngest of 10 kids. I'm a Italian Catholic from Pittsburgh. So,
right.
It was you basically had to make it and scrape your own. So I think the qualities that I look at when I do this, I can empathize because I was a busser. I swept. I've done every job. So when I look at, my employees, I look at them like, hey, guys, I'm never going to ask you to do something I haven't done or will not do right next to you, shoulder to shoulder. So
right.
I think when they come and talk to me and they have a legitimate, problem, I understand where they're coming from. So I think that's those qualities are empathy and understanding where they are and what they want to do. The first question I ask when they come in and they interview with me is, where do you want to be? Do you want to own a brewery? Do you want to be a brewer? Do you want to, you're just going to be a doctor and you want to hang out here, as you get that going. So my thing is, let me see if I can help you get to where you want to go. So I think that's one of those things where it gives them the idea of, okay, great. This doesn't have to be the rest of my life. It's a great industry, but also we all have stepping off points, and we may want to get to somewhere else.
What do you think's been the biggest lesson that you've learned so far?
To be patient. This industry, it's hard being patient. Since I'm not naturally a patient person, I'm more of a, run out there and just get it done kind of thing. I mean, beer takes time. Growth takes time.
Right.
Especially if you're, if you have limited funds and you don't have everything that, that a lot of these, people coming in the industry or, big AV places have. So I think we look at it, it's about the patience of growing something, and it's so cliche to say organically, but I mean, in our case, it's about our local environment, our local places. So it's about being patient, and, to us, better beer, not more beer, is a lot what we're going for, is just, be patient and see where you can get to. It's not to me, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. So right. I think it's patience.
Exactly. So you talk about like you go out and get it type of guy. You got a fire in your belly. I would assume you're saying.
Yeah.
So where do you think you get that passion and inspiration from?
It's one of the. I think mine comes from being the youngest of 10, where one of the things growing up was funny was whoever eats the fastest gets the mostest.
Okay.
When you have, it was one of those things where, you better learn how to sort of survive in this, the jungle kind of a thing. I was out by the time I was 17, I was already off, to college. It's just that weird thing that I think it's my family that, I have 4 brothers and 5 sisters, and, I basically got my butt kicked most of the time, and you learned how to navigate it. So I think the fire in the belly is just, I want to have a better life, and I think you sort of learn that from your family and
right.
friends around you.
How do you define success?
Wow.
And do you think you've reached a point of success, whether it's in your
I think it's funny.
In your life or your business?
I was just going to say there's success financially or personally, because I think when you look at a business, I think financially success is, when banks want to lend you money when you don't ask for it. So right. To me, it's that, they know better when they look at your books, your P&L, your balance sheet, and what you're doing, and then they're like, hey, that's when, because everybody usually, knocking doors down to get money from banks. So to me, I think financially in this business was, that banks basically saying, oh yeah, what do you need? And I'm usually, no, let's hang off, we're good right now. And then personally, I think the success is, in the beer industry, it's like you look around, it's about certain things you get invited to. I think in like, say, one of the examples is, say, Firestone Walker Invitational.
Right.
That invitational is, it's like being asked to play at Carnegie Hall. It's that you're around these groups that, these other breweries from around the world that are the best. And you just look at it and say, this is kind of cool. They're kind of humbled. And just to be asked to be there. I mean, another one is Other Half, getting to their Green City. There's certain ones when you look around, between Keller and Copenhagen. So I think, the beer success the brewing industry success is your peers saying they want you to be at their festival because they like what you're doing.
Yeah.
And of course,
awesome.
Our customers, they looking and saying they really like our stuff. But I think, other breweries and brewers saying, hey, you're doing some good stuff, come out and, come with us at their anniversary party or whatever it is. So I think that's the success on the brewing side.
I mean, when you hear that, you're probably like, I want more and more people out there to taste our stuff and more people to have it. And what's your distribution like? Did you actually handle that your own, or do you do an outsourcing, or?
We travel a lot, and we do a lot of festivals. I mean, just before this whole thing broke, we were in Manchester at Cloudwater's Friends and Family Festival, which is a really cool event.
Right.
So we traveled there. We brewed in Track, and then Siren, and then Cloudwater. So at Roosters, and so it's funny that we have a footprint even in New York, other half. So it's half acre down in McKellar,
right.
But it's our distribution. We're never going to be, and I should say never. Never is a big word.
Yeah, never say
but
never.
Our distribution, no, you don't say never. But in this case, we're a small brewery. We aren't looking to be, Sierra Nevada, which is an amazing brewery, but to us, it's about getting to those places and experiencing what they're doing. And then our distribution-wise, people want us to distribute there. They'll, hey, New York's also amazing. I love the vibe, the beers, so I'd love to get more there, but I can't service the local area. So our distribution, we have a small distributor here that helps us with L.A., San Diego, and Orange County, but very small amounts. We save that beer mostly for our events, traveling around the country and world, get our beers there, because we sell all of our stuff basically through our tasting room, our tap room, in our own little spot. So right now, 2 locations, we're probably going to get to, say, 3,000, 4,000 barrels between the 2.
Right.
So we don't have a lot of beer. And that's why I said our motto is, better beer, not more. Our distribution, we'd love to get out to some really cool spots more, but that's why we like when you do other half and you bring a pallet of beer in and you send it out to the bars and restaurants out there. That's cool, but that's probably the most we're going to do right now for the near future.
Right. So I'm assuming strategies for marketing, you just keep it basically to social media, or do you actually do some paid?
Nope. We've never paid to advertise at all. So,
okay.
We don't have marketing campaigns. We don't have a marketing manager. We had, prior to this, COVID thing, we had 50 employees. We were just building our team to, finally bring in our first real managers. And
right.
Evan does most of the social media when it comes to what you see in videos. Evan's really a friend, Patrick. Kerry, he's amazing. He works for a surf company, or a surf wear company that him and Evan sort of collaborate on everything you see and hear, which is Instagram based. I think we have somewhere 35,000 followers now. That we started with nothing, but I think that's our only real marketing is word of mouth, social media, and visiting these places around the country. And bring, Blackberry Farms and these great breweries, Creature Comfort, Resident Culture, Other Half Acre. So it's cool. I think we are truly a, grassroots kind of marketing company, because I think on my side, I'm kind of cheap in that respect of I don't want to spend money, because you never know how it really is going to get, how it's going to be, is there an ROI based off that money, that campaign or whatever.
I think it's a good gauge also to keep it, if you're keeping it organic, that people are talking about your stuff, if you're getting good feedback.
Yes.
So
for sure. The brewing industry, they're not shy about letting you know if they like something or not.
Right.
So, yeah.
So as far as work goes, I know it's probably a lot in the first couple of years, just constant hustle. How important is a mental break for you from everything? And
Well, it's funny.
how do you take your mental breaks?
That's a good. It's wild is that I think I'm a workaholic just by nature. I don't sleep a lot. I sleep 4 or 5 hours a night maybe.
Right.
So I've been that way since college. So I think my mental breaks, and we're so social in what we do, and we hang around the breweries, we do festivals with the breweries. Everything is we're out in that sort of party world that people want and love to be at. On my side, my mental break is I like going somewhere and doing nothing and hiding almost in, just quiet space, and I'm not there for a day. So my mental break is basically finding places, if that's a chair down or in the plaza near where I live, or somewhere where I don't have anybody around, where you have 100 people asking questions or all those things. So mine's more about I'm a recluse in a way where I just want to be away from everything.
Kind of a disconnect from everyone.
Yes, I mean just hide, because you're always sort of in this weirdly spotlighting our own little, our echo chamber of the brewing industry.
Right.
It's great. I love it. And that's what I said. I get, I'm jazzed over the energy that everybody has. But also I'm on the older spectrum of this group. So I'm just happy to be a part of this thing that's going on.
What do you think's changed the most since you got into the brewing industry? Even if, not even Green Cheek, even before that, when you got into the beer industry?
First off, there's so many more breweries out there than ever. It's just an amazing amount of people that just jumped in. I think that's the funny part is you look at what has happened over the last 10 or 15 years, and California, we have 1,000 breweries now.
Right.
Just in California. I mean, I remember, I think when I started, there were 300.
Right.
So it's that kind of crazy increase, and
I know San Diego alone has been flooded for a long time now.
Yeah, it's an amazing jump. I mean, when we started up or not this iteration of the Orange County Brewers Guild, me, Patrick Brew, there was Greg Nyland, Stephen Bottle Logic. When we started that, I think we had 10 or 15 breweries. Now we have 50 in it.
Wow.
So it's just a wild, exponentially getting this increase of people around it. And it's weird, you can't keep up with who's doing what. And I keep saying I love the idea of more people, more breweries coming in. I just said, make sure you're making good beer. I said, there's people jump in for different reasons. I'm a really good home brewer. I was going to go join a country club. I thought I'd start a brewery. It's this weird reason. Why are you in this? What are you doing here? Are you just trying to be Dallas Point and get your $1 billion buyout? And,
right.
Because that is a cautionary tale now, because look at what they sold for. So, mine, I think, is this just what, and let's be real, at the end of this thing, this COVID thing, it being, April, beginning of April, if this is going to go another 2 months, I don't know who's left.
Right.
Because there's a lot of that could wash out. And, a lot of these people that got into this thinking that there's going to be fast money. Now, if you're not in it for passion or what you really like in the game, you're probably going to leave and go back to being a lawyer or whatever you were doing prior to this. But yeah, I think, like I said, I think it's more just the amount of breweries that it's just amazing to me, them all coming on the scene.
Right. That's like with any situation, over time there's going to be, an area is going to be flooded, and some are going to be really good, some are going to be really bad. How do you go about staying ahead of the competition? Because I'm sure there are some really good ones out there, and I know it's like a big camaraderie type of thing, the brewery industry, but is there a way that you guys go about staying ahead?
I think you have to, don't ever think you make the best beer, right? I think it can always be better. And I think Evan is always striving, us as a brewery, we're always striving to be better. Like, when you find something that you think is amazing, ask them how they're doing it. most times they'll let you into the world, and brewers are an amazing and gracious kind of lot that usually want to help you make better beers. So I think on our side, it's always look for how do you make it better. Right. But it's funny, I see that in Evan. As much as he's a really good brewer and these amazing people look up to him, he's always looking for the next, getting a Pine House down in Austin. Joe, what are they doing? How are they doing it? So it's cool to, like I said, just stay ahead of the competition, because you see who's out there. This thing changes, and that's why we don't do a lot of core beers, right? We like having these different things, like, let's try it this way and see what's going on. And we do go back to, some of our beers that are, they keep coming back, but it's also about, let's try this. Where are the best hops? Is it Freestyle Farms down in New Zealand? Is it, is it YCH? Who's getting what? So, I think it's basically just done over, always look for what's better.
Gotcha. So I'm sure people have come up to you and have asked you when wanting to open their own place. What advice do you give to them?
I always say to them, depending on who it is, if it's somebody that's I tell them to go, have you ever worked at a brewery? That's the first thing I ask them. Is like, if you're coming into this and say, well, I'm a really good home brewer, that's awesome. That's great that you're a really good home brewer and people love your stuff. But I said, you should work for a brewery, doing anything, just to see what you're getting into. Because I think that a lot of times people just look at your taste room and say, oh man, this is great, I want to do this. So first thing you go work for somebody, or at least get working knowledge of a production brewery. So that's usually the first thing. And then if you don't have a brewer, go steal the best brewer you can out there. Right. Because, you've got, I'm sorry, there's this, when you have, in our case, you have 50 breweries in Orange County. You have within a, say a 15, 20-mile radius. We all can only pick 3 or 4 breweries to go to, and then the marginal ones or the weaker ones, just, you're not going to go to them. Even if they're like, okay. So you better make sure that you have the best beer coming out. Right. And people will give you a break in the beginning, but if they've been to your place 2 or 3 times and your beers are, they're probably not going to come back. So right. That's usually a fine, either go and train and become the best brewer, and also make sure there's 2 sides to the brewery, because there is the beer side and there's also the finance side. Because you might make the best beer in the world, but your business is going to fail if you don't take care of that. So there's a yin and yang, and that's what me and Evan sort of have. It's great to learn from him, and I teach him things on the business side. So I get so proud when he says something like, I don't think that's going to be profitable for us enough. And I just like, oh my God, I'm excited. So, and then when I tell him, I'm getting this character of, I think there's a citrus, or this hop has what, he's the same way. He's like, oh my God, you actually do listen sometimes. So anyways, I think it's just about, make the best beer, and keep an eye on the business side.
Okay. Well, did you happen to have a funny story for us?
Oh God, that's a funny one. Yeah, I do. I have so I when we first started up, smaller place, I was having an all hands meeting, and I was trying to come across professional with this new group of employees, and I was kind of nervous. So our team was not that big at that time. I don't know, we probably had 15 in the beginning, and I didn't know them all as well as I do now. But as I was giving my pep talk, I'm trying to be real serious, and like, this is what we're going to do, and I'm all excited, and I look down and at my feet, and I notice I have 2 different shoes on, and I just started laughing to myself, and I just continued. I didn't say a word, and To this day, I never told anybody in that group that what I was laughing at or that I had two different shoes on. So you almost have to laugh at yourself when you do stuff like that and say, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I'm just another guy here working. So, so that was a pretty good one that, and they were not even that close when you really looked at the shoes, but I was getting dressed in the morning, so I don't know. So, yeah, that was kind of one of my good ones.
Gotcha. That's great, man. So I have this little segment where it's called Quick Fire 5. I ask you 5 quick questions, and then you just respond with quickest answer.
Okay.
Sound good?
I'm nervous. Yeah, go for it.
I wouldn't be nervous. I'm sure it's stuff that you think about all the time. Or not. We'll see.
I know.
All right.
Yeah.
So here we go. If somebody came in, what's the one beer that you would recommend they try?
We're really well known for our West Coast. So I would say Radiant Beauty, West Coast, Citra, Mosaic, Simcoe.
Okay. Favorite brewery other than your own?
I mean, the bigger one, Firestone Walker's amazing.
Right.
And then Highland Park up in L.A.
Okay. What's your favorite style of beer?
Easy, man. Pilsner. Love my Pilsners.
All right. What's the last beer that you drank that actually surprised you?
That surprised me?
Yeah, like you wanted to brag about it.
So they call slow pour pills from Beer Stop in Denver.
Gotcha.
Right? It takes 5 minutes to get the thing, but man, I ordered 2 or 3 times. It's like I always brag that one. So it's beautiful beer.
All right. Well, you have one keg of beer to hold you over for a 2-week quarantine. Which beer are you choosing?
Once again, it's probably Freem, Pilsner, Hood River, right? I love my Pilsners, so. I mean, of course mine, but Freem, Pils.
That's fine. That's perfect, man. That's the 5 questions I got for you.
Go.
All right, man. Well, Brian, thank you for being with us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it, Mike.
Yeah, thank you for taking time out of your schedule, and stay safe out there, man.
You too. Watch out for the zombies. We're all going to get past this, and we'll be better on the other side.
Will do.
Okay, Mike. Take it easy.
Thanks, man.
Hey, guys, so that was the podcast. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you're able to take something away from that interview as you will with every interview. Special thanks again goes out to Brian Rauso of Green Cheek Beer Company in Orange County, California. If you're on lockdown during this quarantine and you're in Orange County, check out Green Cheek's webpage for a link to get their beer delivered to your front door. Every other Sunday, I'll be posting a new podcast, so stay tuned and, like I said, subscribe, and you'll never miss another episode. Don't forget to follow us on our social media accounts. Also, if there's something you're curious about knowing from the owners, then I want to ask it. You can email me directly at TrueBrewerStew.com. Once again, I'm Mike Curtin for True Brewer Stew. Thank you so much for listening. Have a great day.